Hello, team and professor. I am recording this just because I know I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. Just unfortunately, after 7 on Tuesdays are difficult for me, and so I want to make sure that you can see the program from the perspective of someone who's just recently working on it, and also so that I can give my input as to what we might need help with in terms of creating uh, programming fixes moving forward, just to make sure that that the administration can see all of our work so far. We've created buttons to take us directly to phase 2 of level 1, so you don't have to be level 1 to get there, just when you're grading. And level 2 we have randomized to one of the three different diseases, brain cancer, hypertension, or anxiety, in the various meds in there. And so let me just give you a brief tour, then I'll talk about some programming fixes and then some gameplay fixes real quick. So got the main scene right here, and this should take you to instructions, and then here we are. And so we have to make that a little bit more readable, but here we have the prefabs circle around the pill bottle, and you're able to drag them and move them in. I had a problem gameplay-wise, and I think this is more of a gameplay question than it is a programming question. Gameplay-wise, I ran into an issue where sometimes, because I do have the pills being randomized to make sure that the player is not able to memorize an order or anything, sometimes certain combinations would make it so that the player just flat out couldn't win. It would only spawn, like this is selecting second gen antihistamines, and let's say that it would only spawn ephrine, zoline, or Tirol, which are not second gen antihistamines. Sometimes it would just spawn you with a unwinnable hand. And so, from a programming perspective, what I did just to ensure that progress could be completed, just so you can see a slice of our project, what I did is I made it so that 50 pills are being spawned, and so there's 50 total. And so, because there's 50, chances are that some of the so what do you need? We need 10 correct to progress. And so chances are that there's going to be 10 of the correct category to get through. But what that amounts to is that it's less of matching and more of sorting, which in a way is kind of similar to what it might be like sorting through a pill cabinet, but I'm not exactly sure that this equates to fun. And so, it's just something that we have to think about. How do you make it so that a winning hand can be spawned without resorting to just flooding the player with a ton of different pill options and having them sort through it? Something that came to mind is maybe the level restarts, just refreshes every 10 seconds, but then I'm wondering if that might be frustrating to the player. So it's questions for later, but in terms of a minimal viable product, we have something that's working and that can showcase. Um, One second, let me get that. And so, yeah, second gen antihistamines. This one is selecting for tyrosine, aidine. So tyrosine, aidine, and what's the other one? Tysine. Do we have tysine here? There we go, tysine. And so when you do that, the points go up. When points go to 50, you move on to the next one. And then if you select the wrong one, your health goes down, down to 0. We had a talk about maybe making it so level 4 could potentially be like an arcade style thing. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, so in terms of programming, it's the sorting of the pills that'd be something to look at. And then, let me take you to level 2. Um, so one thing that we were hoping to make it so that on level 2, let me spawn it in the editor. We were hoping to have buttons here, just left, right, up, down, so that when they're clicked, it could control them as well. Right now, we've augmented an existing script to make it so that the arrow keys as well as WASD can control them, but we were hoping to also have buttons so that anyone playing this on a cell phone using touchscreen could also be engaged in the same control scheme. Once again, our user base is people of all different demographics. And the one thing that they have in common is that they're stressed and they're busy, and so the more options and the less they have to think about the controls, the better. And so the way that I had done this before is that I created buttons on there, but our script moves the rigid body controller of whatever object it's attached to. And so when I attached it to the buttons, it moved the buttons itself when the button was pressed. And so I think we'd have to either make a script from scratch, or we'd have to figure out a way to simulate a key press when a button is pressed. So if you push the left button, the left arrow key press would be triggered, which itself would trigger the script, which controls the WASD and the left, right, up, down. So that's just something to think about for later. If we can have any recommendations for that, that'd be helpful. If we can have any recommendations for the gameplay mechanism of just sorting through a ton of pills and somehow keeping the randomness factor without potentially spawning an unwinnable hand. And then the last thing would be, in order to do this, I had to go through and let's get to the trolling script. I had to manually randomize the colors and then randomize which pills would be spawned, and then each prefab ending in 1 will spawn in the 1 position, the 2 position, 3 position, 4 position, 5 position. And what I love to do is to find an easier way to do that. The reason why is because while I was able to do that, that took a very, very, very long time, and we only knocked out the upper respiratory. And as you can see here, what we're hoping to do is not just the upper respiratory, which is right here, but we're hoping to do all of this. And that is going to be extremely time intensive unless we find a more efficient way to randomize color selection, randomize position selection, and ideally make it so that the game can recognize when one of the 6 spots is filled. So see how there's spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Ideally, we can make it so that the game can know when one of the spots is filled, so we don't have this overlap thing, which is a little counterintuitive. And so if we can have a suggestion for that, a suggestion for gameplay, and a suggestion for just everything that we've talked about so far, that'd be helpful. And that'd be the things that we're looking for. That'd be a little bit of my input. And thank you so much.